here she is calling out the ladies of The View right to their faces.
Yeah. No, look, some of you have accused me of being a traitor to my country, a Russian asset, a Trojan horse, or a useful idiot, I think was the term that you used. Which basically means that I'm naive or lack intelligence to know what's going on.
They use that.
I want to let your viewers know exactly who I am.
All right.
Set the record straight. I am a patriot. I love our country. I am a strong and intelligent woman of color, and I have dedicated almost my entire adult life to protecting the safety, security, and the freedom of all Americans in this country. It was the attacks on 9/11.
I guess we're getting a little bit far ahead of ourselves, but Franklin Graham finds you refreshing. He doesn't find me refreshing. Richard Spencer, the white nationalist leader, says he could vote for you.
Joy, this is why
you're on Tucker Carlson at least 10 times. Why don't you go on Chris Wallace's show?
This is why I'm here, because you and other people continue to spread these innuendos that have nothing to do with who I am.
Well, Hillary Clinton started it, and then you shot back at her, boy. You called her the queen of warmongers.
You doubled down, unfortunately, on the baseless accusations that she made that strikes at the core of who I am. I'm a soldier. Because of the attacks on 9/11, I enlisted in the military to go after and defeat and destroy the evil that visited us on that day. I've served now for over 16 years, deployed twice to the Middle East during the height of the war, where every single day I saw firsthand the terribly high human cost.
Man, there's so much there, because first off, it's just great. It's just great to watch someone sit at that table with them and tell them the actual truth. And as Joy is trying to undermine her at every step of the way, she's talking about why she served this country after 9/11, why she loves this country, why she doesn't put up with the lies of the Democrats and the machine and everything else. It's beautiful. And of course, what sits with that is that she has left the Democrat Party. She could have still been a Dem if the Democrats did not go insane. If the left ever knew how to say, I think this is a little bit too far, then we wouldn't be in this situation. And I have no doubt that many of you watching this would still consider yourselves Democrats. And there's probably a world, if there was a time machine, where I could consider myself a Democrat. But that is not the world we live in right now. So that everything she represents right there is what now can be shifted over to the Republican Party if Donald Trump so chooses it. It's just so freaking obvious to me. It's off the chart.
Thank you, Dave Rubin. Thank you, Tulsi Gabbard. Thank you, Joy Behar, for showing us who you really are. Welcome to the Blathering Boomer, another Tuesday night live cast. Wow, I got 19 people watching already. I'm nervous. That's a lot of people. Yikes. Last week, well, I have 19 watching right now. Last week at this part of the show, that's 19 more than I had last week. Last week I tied a world's record at 0 a few minutes into the podcast. I ended up getting a bunch of views afterwards. So thank you, all of you who are watching now. I wonder how it is. There's 20 people watching. Wow, okay. This is going to be a record-setting podcast, and I'm a little bit pissed off today. Tulsi's confirmation hearing is this week. And there's a lot of controversy. Why in the world is there controversy about Tulsi Gabbard, the most truthful politician I have ever observed in my lots and 70 plus revolutions around the sun? Wow. Wow. I guess the problem is she's too truthful. She's too truthful, and she's saying things that people consider dangerous. The smears continue. I'll share my screen real quick. I got a little thing or two, and then I'm going to get into a bit of a confrontation I had last Friday with somebody who's fairly close to being family. Here we go. Do I have my Twitter up there? Yes, I do. So Jack Pozo, whoever he is, I don't know. He said, break. Now, again, we have to separate what we hear from what we know. So this falls under the what we hear thing. Breaking. Just heard New York Times has another hit piece prepped on Tulsi after all the rest all failed. They're so desperate they're going to claim she was on the no-fly list because she's secretly an agent of Hezbollah. Somehow an Army lieutenant colonel is Hezbollah. Good luck with that, guys. And oh my gosh, Josh retweeted that with the comment, classic smear tactics from the desperate left. They're so scared of Tulsi's truth-telling that they'll throw anything at the wall and hope it sticks. And it saddens me that left has become such a dirty word. And we, I don't know, I was a lifetime leftist, and now left is a dirty word, liberal's a dirty word. I mean, what has happened? Where did we go? Where did the question authority bumper stickers go? Ignore alien orders. I mean, this is a world where down is up, up is down, and free-thinking individualists who attracted me, who drew me to the Bay Area, are now just in lockstep, getting in line. It's unbelievable. And they're talking, one of the things they're really screaming about right now are the mass deportations. Well, Trump is not the first president to be deporting people. There was a very popular president among the circles I've often traveled in. How did I do? Yeah, there we go. And so this is just a question. The Obama record on deportations, deporter in chief or not. Barack Obama was famously labeled deporter in chief by critics in the immigrant rights community. Even as enforcement first advocates accuse his administration of being soft on unauthorized immigrants. Which perception is accurate? With the Obama presidency just ended, obviously this is from a few years ago, a closer examination demonstrates the administration's record is more nuanced than either criticism would imply. And, we have this guy Homan. A lot of people are really scared of him, They look at, he kind of does remind me a little bit of the Rod Steiger character in the movie In the Heat of the Night. But under the Trump administration, he's getting all this criticism. But under the Obama administration, did President Obama give Thomas Homan a Distinguished Executive Award? In 2015, President Obama gave him a Presidential Rank Award as a Distinguished Executive. A Washington Post article at the time stated, Thomas Homan deports people, and he's really good at it. Okay, great. So this deportation thing, at best and at worst, it's a partisan issue. If it was good when Obama was doing it, why is it not good when Trump is doing it? And if it's bad when Trump is doing it, why was it not bad when Obama was doing it? So the flow of information and misinformation is absurd. I got something today sent to me that talking about how how ICE is setting up private prisons because they want to go after Native Americans, but since they can't deport Native Americans, we should send them back where they came from, they can't deport Native Americans. What they want to do is put them in private prisons and have them be slave labor. Now, if that is true, I'm going to be the first one out in the streets screaming about this. But I don't think it is true. The information that gets sent out there is absolutely absurd, which leads me to the confrontation. Well, confrontation/conversation. And I've said this often, especially talking to people you're tight with about politics. Not every conversation needs to be a confrontation. And we're all so high-strung these days. We're all triggered. And I'm all about the truth. And when I see a lie, I get pretty upset. So this was sent to me last Friday. And let me get that up on my screen. It's got a scream. I'll get up on my screen. So this was sent to me last week. It's from an organization called Nix the Noms. The Senate's preparing to hold confirmation hearings, our first and best chance to stop these dangerous picks. These hearings allow senators to scrutinize each nominee's qualifications, records, and fitness for the roles they've been tapped to lead. After the hearings, committees will vote on whether to advance the nominees to a full Senate vote. If approved, these individuals will assume control of federal agencies that touch every aspect of our lives, agencies responsible for protecting our health, securing our nation, and ensuring justice. So far, so good. So far, so good. I want my health protected. I want my nation secure, and I want justice. I definitely want justice. Anyway, it goes on. This is our critical moment to act. We must pressure senators to reject these nominees. Whoa. We must pressure senators to reject these nominees and prevent them from using the levers of government to further Trump's extremist agenda. The stakes couldn't be higher, and the time to fight is now. And that was sent to me in a text message last Friday with the caption, "Call your senator!" exclamation point. And I've been getting a lot of "call your senator," but most of the "call your senator" I get is people who want us to call our senators to support Tulsi Gabbard's D&I nomination. And of course, I'm all for that. But on this one, the Senate fight ahead, well, you got Kash Patel, you have RFK Jr., Robert Kennedy Jr., known as this is factual, Robert F. Kennedy, known as RFK Jr. I agree with that part of it. But I think that's where my agreement ends. Is a notorious promoter of conspiracy theories, particularly around vaccines and public health. Well, yeah, if wanting something thoroughly tested before mandating it for public use is a conspiracy theory, I guess I'm a conspiracy theorist too. Anyway, it goes on. His misinformation campaigns have eroded trust in science and contributed to public health crises. Yeah, well, how are we supposed to trust this in science when we're just being lied to all the time? All the time. A bat in the marketplace is not the same as a lab leak where they're doing gain-of-function research on a biological weapon. Come on. Is nominated to lead HHS, a role requiring evidence-based decision-making and public trust would jeopardize the health and safety of millions. Sorry, I vehemently disagree, but that's not even what has me pissed off. It goes on about Russell Vought, who I know very little about, so I'm not going to go there. Last week it had Pete Hegseth was on here, but I guess they took Hegseth down after he got confirmed by the Senate on Saturday. But here we go. Here's the one that I'll admit to being triggered, because this did trigger me. Tulsi Gabbard. Now, mind you, I have been dealing with the smears and lies about Tulsi Gabbard since before 2020. So for this to come up now, well, not now, it came up 4 days ago, so Monday, Sunday, 4 days ago on Friday. Trump has nominated Tulsi Gabbard, a Putin apologist and Democrat turned Republican. Yes, she was a Democrat, and yes, she's Republican now. By the way, I don't agree with her becoming Republican, but that's not the point. Putin apologist bullshit. As Director of National Intelligence, a critical role overseeing our intelligence community. Gabbard has no relevant experience, has amplified Russian propaganda, and shared content from state-run outlets like RT. RT, by the way, is Russian TV. She's cozied up to war criminals like Bashar al-Assad and refused to condemn his atrocities, raising serious doubts about her loyalty to U.S. interests. The Senate must reject this dangerous nomination to protect America's security and the independence of our intelligence agencies. By the way, why do some of you find it so hard to understand why she sat down with Assad? That's a familiar line. It was a mission of peace, and it wasn't in the press release. Instead, the story that we heard had nothing to do with what actually occurred. They don't even know the meanings of their own words. They've been lying for so damn long. Yeah, I quoted myself. That's from my song, Why Tulsi. But she interviewed Assad. She was there with a congressional delegation in 20-something or other, 2015, I guess. I don't know exactly what year, 2018, somewhere before she ever ran for president. And where does talking to somebody amount to cozying up to somebody and refuse to condemn his atrocities? That's a complete lie. I've seen her on on CNN where they demanded that Tulsi call Bashar al-Assad a brutal dictator, and she did. So how is calling him a brutal dictator refusing to condemn his atrocities? So this comes down, this disgusting piece of garbage that is being sent around. So you could imagine all my blood. Wow, 30 people watching. This is a new record. Holy shit, I wonder what happened. But thank you. Hey, I'll do my best to not suck. But you can imagine how receiving something like that, an email with the caption, call your senator. Well, it didn't sit very well. So, again, I said this in last week's podcast. If you're engaged in a conversation with somebody that you disagree with, it really is a good idea to not give them wrong at every turn. Not everything everybody says is right, and not everything, including me, and not everything everybody says is wrong, including you. And you know who I mean. Anyway, wow. I appreciate all the watches right now. So yeah, Tulsi's up for confirmation this week, and this was my little contribution to. They got to stop the smears. If there's anybody out there who has a real factual reason why you think Tulsi Gabbard should not be our next Director of National Intelligence, leave a comment or send me a DM on Twitter. I'm easily reached on Twitter, UNG714, Ugly Nasty Guy 714. This has been a bit of an edgy podcast, and so anyway, that's the conversation that I had last Friday, and it really did upset me, and it played into the conversation I had today. I'm not going to go into detail about the conversation I had today, other than because of the conversation that I had on Friday, I'm a little bit easier triggered than normal, because the smears and the lies being thrown out there are just absolutely absurd. And no, I don't think they're building private prisons to enslave Native Americans who can't be deported by ICE. Wow. So anyway, that's what that is. So I got a few other little videos to share in no particular order. So let me toss a few of them out there, because honestly, people think I agree with everything Trump says, and that is absolutely not the case. He did a blanket pardon on January Sixers, not the Philadelphia 76ers, not those Sixers, January Sixers, the people who ran around the Capitol and sometimes were violent and got locked up. And I am not in favor of releasing people who committed violence. So that's where I kind of depart from your traditional MAGA. But let's hear what Piers Morgan has to say on the topic. And here we go.
And I just think this we're seeing a lot of it in the UK, where people are being arrested and charged and sometimes imprisoned for putting comments on Facebook and so on. And my criteria with them is, if they are actually organizing violence, and you can see that in what they're writing, if they are genuinely organizing violence or they're perpetrating it, that is one thing. If they're not, they're expressing perhaps very unpleasant views or nasty views, whatever it may be, or they're using language that people don't like, that is not an imprisonable offense to me. That's your free speech right to be obnoxious, to be unpleasant, and all these things. So the dividing line for me always is violence. And it doesn't matter whether you're a BLM rioter or a January 6th protester or an anti-abortionist or whatever it may be. If you cross the line into violence, or you are orchestrating violence or planning it, that is one thing, and you should feel the full force of the law. If you're peacefully protesting, then you should be left alone to peacefully protest. End.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much my position as well. That is the line that we cross. That's what separates us. That's what civilization is. I grew up in a neighborhood where the toughest kids ruled, and I wasn't tough. I spent a lot of my childhood running away from these tough ruling kids. But now it's really, really simple. I'm against violence. Period. So some of the violence that happened at the Capitol on January 6th was absolutely wrong, and those people should have, well, but again, we have a judicial system for a reason. Put them on trial, give a fair hearing, get all the exculpatory evidence out there. This is why people are pissed off at the January 6th committee, because they withheld exculpatory evidence, meaning evidence that would support somebody's acquittal, like the crazy person with the horns and the face. There was video of him being led through the Capitol like he was a tourist, but that wasn't allowed to be shown in court, not until the demand, the FOIA, I guess it was FOIA, demanding that the January 6 tapes be released to the public, and it was only then that people saw that this guy actually didn't do. I mean, he did stupid stuff. You know, I wouldn't dress up like Chewbacca and parade around the Capitol, but should he be in prison? Should his life be ruined? I don't think so. On the other hand, again, people who committed violence on January 6th, or in Minnesota, or in Seattle, like, you know, how come that standard does not apply? People burnt down a fucking police station. How is that not a prosecutorial situation? So there we go. You know, so people think I'm all in for Trump and everything he says and does. It's not true. I think he overreached on the January 6th. It's a classic case of the baby in the bathwater in both directions, because in prosecuting the people who deserve to be prosecuted, a lot of relatively innocent people spent a lot of time in the slam, and for that I applaud the pardons, because those people have suffered enough. But in pardoning the people who deserve to be pardoned, to also throw in people who maybe shouldn't have been pardoned. You assault a cop. That is insurrectionist behavior. The cops are, we have police to keep us from anarchy. And assaulting a cop is an anarchistic act that needs to be punished. Sorry, and I know that maybe some of my new friends on one side of the aisle or the other don't agree with that, but that's how I feel, and I'm not going to hold back how I feel, whether I agree with whether people want to agree with me or not. I don't know. So that's where that is. A lot of people, myself included, were supporters of the Democrats or leftists, or whatever you want to call it. You know, I don't like labels. I'm a diehard independent, which I suppose is a label in and of itself. But a lot of people are kind of coming around. Anna Kasparian, Michael Rappaport, and my personal favorite, Stephen A. Smith. Stephen A. Smith was loudly and vocally anti-Trump, and will make no secret in telling you that he did not vote for Trump. But here's a little insight from Stephen A. regarding some of the shifts in perception regarding partisan politics these days. So take it away, Stephen A.
What I'm saying is what resonated with the voter. What voter out there can look at the Democratic Party at this moment in time and say, there's a voice for us, somebody that speaks for us, that goes up on Capitol Hill and fights the fights that we want them fighting on our behalf. They didn't do that. And that's why their behinds are home, and that man is back into the White House, and they want to sit up there and talk. You look at the networks right now, they're talking about, look at it, this is the latest, look at him, here he goes again. Well, you know what here he goes again means? He's doing what he said he was going to do. He promised you he was going to do these things, and he walked into office week one, and that's exactly what he's doing. And he's saying, y'all do something about it. And when you try to do something about it, he's going to say, look at them now. Now they're concerned about these issues. Were they talking about that during the campaign? Hell no. That's really it.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Stephen A. Stephen A. You know, and again, this doesn't make him MAGA. This doesn't make me MAGA. This doesn't necessarily make anybody MAGA. We had a choice in this last election, and I will go to my grave, which may be sooner than I think after that flu from last week. I will go to my grave believing that we dodged a bullet with the 2024 election. Trump, for all of his flaws, and the violent criminals from January 6th isn't the only thing I disagree with. I disagree with his approach to Israel, although it looks like maybe there's a bigger plan than I realized. And we'll see how that plays out. Oh, by the way, Charlie, that painting behind my head over there, you complained about last week. It's my granddaughter made that. It's row, row, row your boat, and she calls me row, row. I can't take that picture down, so I changed the angle a little bit. So I hope that's better. So Charlie called me out on last week's podcast on that picture, like coming out of my head every time I move my head. Anyway, blah blah blah. As far as that goes, what podcast from California would be complete without at least one thorough thrashing of Gavin Newsom? And who is a better ranter than Michael Rappaport? And he's another one. He's been ranting for a long time, and most of his rants were anti-Trump rants just a few short months ago. But he's had some kind of awakening. I don't think he's MAGA. Again, I don't think I'm MAGA. I don't think he's out, all in for Trump or anything like that. But he sure does not like Gavin Newsom. So go ahead, Michael.
You don't get any more mistakes. There's no more mistakes for you. You're done. You're done. You're done. You're fired. Grease your hair back, slick it back, put on your aviator glasses, and get the out of here. We'll do better next time. We need to learn from we'll do better next time. We're going to learn from our mistakes. Get the out of here. Gavin with the good hair Newsom. We've been calling you Gavin with the good hair, Mr. Hand Gestures. They ask him a question. He starts going into these gestures. Well, you see, you're not running for 6th grade class president. Them days are over. You're like, you listen, well, and he did one person, he was doing like this. He was like doing like this, and he's like doing like a whole like thing. He was like, I'm surprised he didn't just Gavin with the good hair, with the hair gel, little Nancy's nephew. Gavin with the good hair Newsom, Nancy's nephew. What a good old boy you turned out to be, a little bullshit artist. Gavin with the good hair. You're done, Gavin with the good. Talking about, we want to Trump-proof California. How about fireproofing California? You're talking about Trump this, Trump that. He's not even president. I don't know what he said. This is on you. This is on you. You're the governor. You want to Trump-proof California, fireproof California. You're done.
Michael Rappaport, as only Michael Rappaport can rant. I said it last week. He is the Babe Ruth of ranting, and he makes me look just like a pipsqueak, pony league wannabe bat boy. I'll get my game back. I'm still recovering from that nasty ass flu I had last week. That was really nasty. I got my hat back on. I'm able to wear my hat without ruining it with schwitz. So that was Michael Rappaport. Let's get. I'm pretty much ready to wind it down, but let me get a couple of more things off of Twitter that I'd like to share. So let's go back to my Twitter bookmarks. And here's another thing with which I disagree with Trump. Trump just signed an executive order saying transgender individuals are too mentally ill to be soldiers and too lacking in honor and discipline in their personal lives, really. Consistent with the military mission and longstanding DOD policy and blah, blah, blah. It goes on and on. And where am I? Did I lose me? Let's make a bigger me. That's a smaller me. I want a bigger me. There's a bigger me. I disagree. I'm sorry. While I'm outspoken about keeping men out of women's sports or keeping biological men out of women's sports, and I still feel that way. I feel the same way about women's spaces, whether it's locker rooms or restrooms. If somebody who is trans wants to serve our country in the military, why not? I mean, I hear there's a recruiting problem. Why? The question isn't whether they're trans or not. The question is whether they'll be a good soldier or a good pilot or a good seaman or a sea person or whatever. So I disagree on that. And again, just so you know, I'm not, and it looks like most people talking about this are very, very negative about the prospect of trans in the military. I'm going to play another video for you of somebody who, again, comes from where I came from, who has shifted. A lot of people have shifted, and this person is no exception. And let me get that started.
I can't understand how anyone would vote for Gavin Newsom. He's like clearly a sociopath and I was thinking about this today. Imagine rising to the position of governor of California, the 6th largest economy in the world, one of the most beautiful places in the world, and having your legacy be that you created a crime-ridden, bankrupt shithole. This place had a surplus 2 years ago. So that would disqualify, like Gavin Newsom would not be employable in the private sector with that kind of performance. But these people continue to vote for this stuff. And I've thought about leaving multiple times, but I love it here. I don't want to. So I hope that this disaster might change things and wake people up. In 2016, I was like an anti-Trump person and was very upset when he was elected. And then I've changed tune very quickly after seeing him being smeared unfairly, seeing media coverage that's taken out of context, edited. The same standard doesn't apply to any Democrat politician like Gavin Newsom, who had an affair with his best friend's wife, who was his campaign manager. I don't know what else somebody could do in terms of character, and all of Biden's stuff. It's like the worst president in the history of this country and the most corrupt. It's like a criminal.
I hate that TikTok noise at the end of all these videos. I'm not on TikTok. One more video to share, and this is from Libs of TikTok. This is going to show a New Jersey elected legislator being pulled over at a traffic stop and displaying a bit of attitude.
Oh man, what's going on? Why you acting this way?
You can't be serious. And what did you pull me for?
Why you acting that?
I want to know, what exactly are you getting behind me
stop
for?
Sign. You stop at a stop sign.
I did stop as much as I can stop.
You didn't stop at all. You rolled through that joint.
Are you serious, cuz?
I am serious.
Do whatever you got to do. What do you need?
I got you. Just let me see your license, man.
God, Jesus Christ. What do you need? Don't think I ain't going to talk to Gary about this.
What's that got to do with anything?
It's got a lot to do with it. But I'm going home. You know me.
I got you.
Like I'm running around here with my gun toting, weed smoking. Son, I'm the one that hired you. I'm bringing you on.
Yeah.
Are you crazy? Yes. Absolutely. On your camera. I put you on.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, man.
You got the registration insurance on you, man?
Jesus Christmas. Oh, gave my whole
why you acting like this, man?
Because I'm trying to go home, bro.
I got you.
I live right there, bro. Like you actually pulling over an elected official. Bro, you're not pulling over a random. You're pulling over your boss. I am literally your boss. Like,
you just pulled over an elected official. You just pulled over your boss. I am literally your boss. Talk about entitled. Entitled works in every direction, every single direction. I'm glad it wasn't a white cop. I'm glad it was a black cop pulling over a black councilman or whatever the hell that guy is. Because this is not a race thing. The guy went through a stop sign. Hey, I've gone through stop signs before too, and I, rolled a stop sign, et cetera, et cetera. Sometimes it's a little bit subjective, but come on. Let's let the cops do their jobs. If we have elected officials throwing their weight around, acting like they're above the law, where are we? Where are we as a country? So that's about all I got right now. I got a couple more Rappaport rants, but I think I've made the points I'm trying to make in this video. And again, the point I really, really want to keep making is when arguing with somebody you disagree with, be kind, be logical, avoid personal insults, and wherever possible, agree with them. Don't make it sound like you are arbitrarily disagreeing with everything they say just because you disagree with some things they say. So that's my preaching for the week. I'm about 10 seconds away from 40 minutes. This is a nice tight one, so I'm going to call it a night. Thank you, all 37 of you who are watching. That's amazing. This is by far the biggest podcast I've had, and I hope I lived up to it. I will not be on next Tuesday. I'm traveling. I'll be on the Tuesday after, so no live stream next Tuesday. If I have any content that I could put together to share, I'll post it. But for now, enjoy the next couple of weeks, and as they say, the boomer has blathered.